There's no question that regulators pay disproportionate amount of attention to that which generates press. This is just an objective fact. And Tesla generates a lot of press. So in the United States, there's, I think, almost 40,000 automotive deaths per year. But if there are 4 in Tesla, they'll probably receive 1,000 times more press than anyone else.
When I was 16 years old, I got into this really bad car accident making a left-hand turn. The other car ended up not seeing me, and we ended up doing a full head-on collision, totaling both cars. That car, which ended up catching on fire. So the police came, fire truck came, ambulance. It was crazy. And it seriously scarred me for life because I was not able to make a left-hand turn for the longest time. I would do anything not to make it. So I always wish there was just someone else driving me, because I'm such a nervous driver now because of that traumatic accident.
It became obvious to me that in the future, any car that did not have autonomy would be about as useful as a horse. Which is not to say that there's no use, it's just rare and somewhat idiosyncratic if somebody has a horse at this point. It's just obvious that cars will drive themselves completely. It's just a question of time.
These crash statistics at the beginning of the video don't even factor in the ripple effects, the literal millions of lives that are changed forever by these accidents. And that's part of why I'm so passionate about Tesla, and I think more people need to be aware of what's going on and be supportive of their mission toward full self-driving, so that in the future we can drastically reduce these crash and death total numbers. Let's take a look at the data of what Tesla's currently doing. In the third quarter, there was 1 accident for every 4.34 million miles driven in which drivers had autopilot engaged. For those driving without autopilot, but with our active safety features, Tesla registered 1 accident for every 2.7 million miles driven. For those driving without autopilot and without the active safety features, Tesla registered 1 accident for every 1.82 million miles driven. By comparison, NHTSA's most recent data shows that in the United States, there is an auto crash every 498,000 miles. And what's crazy about this is Tesla's current autopilot feature is the worst it will ever be. What I mean by that is every day that goes on, the more data that's fed into the computer system, the better it's going to get. Contrast that with current legacy automakers' vehicles and their cruise control. It's the best that it's ever going to be when you get the car. It will never get any better for the rest of your ownership of that vehicle. Pair this information with Tesla's being deemed by various reporting agencies as literally the safest cars ever tested, and you have a very strong case for why most people, if they can afford these cars, should be buying Teslas. There is no engine on a Tesla vehicle, so the crumple zones are far superior to ICE vehicles. The roof strength and structure of the cars are also superior and have won top honors in testing. The data and the testing agencies agree Tesla produces some of, if not the, safest cars ever tested. And so, if you think that full self-driving is decades away and it's irrelevant for the here and now, you might need to think again.
If you look back in 2013, there's a couple quotes from you saying, that last 10% is incredibly hard and you need to keep a human in the loop. What's changed your mind?
No, I still think the last 10% of autonomy is extremely difficult, or even the last 1% of autonomy is really difficult. Then also defining autonomy or full self-driving, I think we will be feature complete full self-driving this year, meaning the car will be able to find you in a parking lot, pick you up, take you all the way to your destination without an intervention this year. I would say that I'm certain of that. That is not a question mark. However, people sometimes will extrapolate that to mean now it works with 100% certainty, requiring no observation perfectly. This is not the case. Once it is feature complete, then you're sort of kind of the march of nines. Like, how many nines of reliability do you want it to be? And then when do regulators agree that it is that reliable? So there's feature complete for full self-driving this year with certainty. This is something that we control, and I manage autopilot engineering directly every week in detail. So I'm certain of this. Then when will regulators allow us even to have these features turned on with human oversight? That's a variable which we have limited control over. Then it's when will regulators agree that these things can be done without human oversight? That is another level beyond that. So these are externalities we don't quite control, and the conservatism of regulators varies a lot from one jurisdiction to another. My guess as to when we would think it's safe for somebody to essentially fall asleep and wake up at the destination, probably towards the end of next year. That's when I would think it's most likely it will be safe enough for that. I don't know when regulators will agree.
So let's just be conservative and say that full self-driving isn't here until 2025, which would be 4 or 5 years after Elon's latest prediction. That's still only about 5 years away. And here's the thing, it's about more than safety. When cars drive themselves, a world of opportunity is open. That's part of why Tesla has such a unique focus on fun and entertainment in its cars already, with features like Netflix, Hulu, and Twitch streaming. There are already video games and music mixing apps, and it's literally just the beginning as they can add new features over the air, not having to go to any dealership. Can you imagine hopping in your car for a 2-hour drive where you can sit back and continue to watch your Netflix documentary? Or where you can video chat with your family and friends? Perhaps you want to disconnect and just read a book or eat your lunch. The time that we as humans would be able to use more effectively and enjoyably is incredible. And how about the commercial aspect? Being able to buy a Cybertruck to deploy on a car rental service while you're at work so it can act like Uber without a driver, or as a shuttle service to and from the airport while you're at home relaxing on a Saturday. Businesses could buy a fleet to use for grocery deliveries without having to hire drivers, while not paying a dime for gas and saving drastically on maintenance costs. And so even if full self-driving is years away, in its current state as of today, it's still incredibly useful. It can significantly reduce the stress of driving. Small things we don't even consider, like staying in the center of the lane, making lane changes, getting in the proper lane for highway exits. It's already doing this on its own, and thousands of drivers have raved about the experience when used properly and according to the stipulations Tesla has communicated very clearly. So I wanted to make this video series to share why I care so much about Tesla and why I think more people would too if they knew what was going on. I want to warn especially the Tesla fans about what's coming with full self-driving. When this becomes more and more mainstream, the media is going to obliterate any bad incident that happens while on autopilot, anything to do with full self-driving. So with that being said, we need to, as Tesla fans and supporters, make sure that we bring people back to earth and share the relevant data of how much safer, even now as it is, Tesla is than humans driving vehicles. So we should be supporting this mission to full autonomy for many, many reasons, but most importantly, to reduce the number of people that are dying every year from driving. So with that being said, thank you for watching until the end of the video. It means a lot. I hope that I've earned a like and a comment. And if you want to see the future videos in this series, just click that subscribe button, hit the bell, and then you'll be notified in your timeline when those videos come out.
It will require detecting hands on wheel for at least 6 months or something like that from here. Really, it's a question of, like, from a regulatory standpoint, how much safer than a person does autopilot need to be for it to be okay to not monitor the car? To me, right now, this seems game, set, match. I don't want to be complacent or overconfident, but that's what it appears. That is just literally how it appears right now. I could be wrong, but it appears to be the case that Tesla is vastly ahead of everyone.